Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's me, your beautiful girl IJ, and here is IJ Designs. On today's tutorial, we're going to draft a basic bodice pattern for a baby girl of 3 to 4 years or about 5 years. A basic bodice pattern to make a dress for a baby of 3 to 5 years. We're going to draft it. I'm going to show you how to draft it as a normal basic pattern and also to draft it as a princess basic pattern, as a princess darts pattern. So we're going to use one thing to make two. So now, without wasting much time, I would like to say thank you to my subscribers, old and new subscribers. You are welcome on this channel. You will never regret passing by to see what I have for you. So without wasting much time, let's get drafting. The measurement I want to use is the measurement of a baby girl of 3 years, but you can use it to achieve up to 5-6 years. Just follow the step, you will get there. So the shoulder measurement I'm using is shoulder 11. 11 divided by 2 is 5.5. Add extra seam allowance, that is 6 inches. So here I'm going to mark 6 inches. Then I'll come down also on this line. I'll come down also to 5.5. That is the exact shoulder measurement. I'll come down here 5.5, because when you sew it, you take the half. That is the 6 inches. So now let's mark a straight line. I'm working on the vertical measurement. So shoulder to the chest line is 5.5, and also to the waist of this baby is 11 plus 1 seam allowance, 1 inch seam allowance, that is 12. So let's make it into a straight line. Now I normally use 2.5 inches, the depth, the length and the depth 3 inches. So now I'm going to go with 2.5 inches. The depth and length, I'm going to go down by 3 inches. You can determine any length of your choice or any depth of your choice. But don't go more than 3, because it's a baby girl of 3 to 4 years, so that it will not be too open on the chest. So now make it into a straight line and give it the shape. You can go with V-neck, round neck, any neck choice of yours is acceptable. I'm going with round neck. So I mark it as a round neck. Do you see it? So now from this 2.5, I'll connect it to the line of the 6 inches that I have already drafted to the chest line. Do you see it? So on this line, I'll come down by 3/4 inches. Then I'll connect it to the 2.5 depth opening. I've connected it here to the opening. From the opening here, 2.5, I connect it to the 3/4 that we marked on this line. So now, what is the chest measurement of this baby we are working with? The chest measurement, 30 divided by 4 is 7.5. So on this line, the chest line, we are going to mark 7.5. Then the waist is 24. 24 plus 4 is 28. 28 divided by 4 is 7. On the waist, we are going to mark 7. From the nipple to nipple measurement, I always take 3 inches and add ½ inch. That is 3.5. I'm going to mark 3.5 here. And also on the chest line, on the waistline, 3.5. On the chest line, also 3.5. And I'll give it a straight line. Now, on both sides of the 3.5 inches, I'll take out 1/2 inch as the dart. Then I'll go up by 3 inches plus the extra seam allowance that is going up by 4 inches. Then I'll connect it. Now, here you can decide to leave it in this form, the basic bodice, or you can decide to make it a princess dart. If you want to make it a princess dart, now we are going to connect it to the armhole. First, let's determine the armhole. Since we have come down by 3/4 inches, what is left for us here is 4.5 inches. 4.5 inches divided by 2 is 2.25. Then we mark 2.25. On that place, we mark 2.25. We came in by 1/2 inch. Then we will connect it to the chest line. Now we have connected to the chest line. So now, if you want to make it a princess dart, just take your armhole curve from that line, 3.5 inches, nipple to nipple measurement. Just give it a curve. Just give it a curve. Just curve it because there is no bust, so you don't need to take out anything. Just curve it. You see it? You now curve it to the armhole. Now, since you have curved it to the armhole, remember you are going to cut it open. So you are going to go up by 1/2 inch. Go up by 1/2 inch. Now you go up by 1/2 inch. Do you see it? Here. Here will be your new armhole. This is if you want the princess dart. If you don't want the princess dart, this is not necessary. If you want the princess dart, it's necessary. If you don't want it, it's not necessary. You just stop at the waist, the dart waist. So now, since we have gotten the chest, the horizontal chest and the horizontal waist, we have to join them together before adding other extra allowances. Now, if you want it as a basic bodice, you leave it in this form. Then you add extra 1 inch allowance for future use for the baby, or 1.5 also to turn it. You add 1/2 inch to turn it to the lining to make it look neat, and also extra 1 inch because already the 4 inches we added have taken care of this. So now you add extra 1.5 inch for future use and turning it to the lining, and you are good to go. But now I want to make use of princess dart, so we are going to add some inches more. Remember, we are going to cut this open. We are going to cut it open as a princess dart. So this 1 inch, I'm going to add it back to the waist. And also you need to sew it together. You need an extra 1 inch. And also the 1/2 inch to turn it to the lining. The 4 inch we added before is an extra allowance to close it up. If you like, you can also add one to be on the safe side, but for me, this is okay. Then on the chest line, since I'm going to cut it open, I need 1/2 inch on both sides to join it together. So I'm going to add extra 1 inch. Plus another 1/2 inch to turn it up to the lining. Then extra 1 inch to make it for future use. If the baby is growing, you can keep it open. You can lose it and join it back if you want. So now we are going to connect this together. Do you see it? This is the allowances, the extra allowances that is necessary to add if you are making a princess dart. But if you're not making a princess dart, you just stop at this first allowance and add 1.5 inch extra for future use and for turning it to the lining. Now, on the upper side of the shoulder, remember to add your 1/2 inch seam allowance. As you can see, our bodice is ready. Now let's cut. Do you see it? Here is the center and here is the side. Like I said, if you don't want your princess dart, don't cut it open. If you want your princess dart, then you take it to the armhole and you cut it open. So now the front part is ready. Let's draft the back panel. Just give it also a straight line. And remember to take in first your zip allowance. I'm going to take 1 inch zip allowance. After this 1 inch, starts all your measurement at the back. Don't forget. Then give it a straight line. This is the straight line. So from now, you have to put your measurements. The shoulder is 6 inches on this shoulder level. 1/2 inch seam allowance, 5.5 plus 1/2 inch seam allowance, that is 6. Then you come down with 5.5 inches to the chest line. 5.5 inches to the chest line. Then you get to 11 inches the shoulder to waist measurement, and also have 1 inch for sewing allowance. Then I make all into a straight line. Now at the back of at the opening of the back, that is the neck line, you can determine any neck of your choice. You can decide to go down low, or you can decide to leave it as the front, or you can do a V-neck or a round neck at the back. The choice is yours. So what is the opening? We did 2.5 inches, the width and the length. I want it to come down a little bit than the front, so I'm going to go by 4.5 inches. Then I give it a straight line. I mark also in this form. I want the back opening to be longer than the front, so I'll take my armhole curve to curve it the way I want it to be. That's the neckline I want at the back. So I come down here also. I mark 6 inches. Then I give it a straight line to determine the armhole at the back. Remember, we came down by 3/4 inch. Then join it to the opening of the neckline. And here we divide it in two. This is what I have here is 4.5. Then 4.5, I divide it into 2. I'll have 2.25. Then I'll determine my armhole. That's the armhole. So now, what's the chest that we are working with? We are working with chest 30. Remember, we added 4 inches to the actual chest measurement of the baby. So we are working with chest 30, and chest 30 divided by 4. Remember, we always divide by 4. 30 divided by 4 is going to give us 30 divided by 4 is going to give us 7.5. Then the chest line, after the zip allowance, I mark 7.5. And the waist we are working with is waist 7. That is 28 divided by 4, that is 7. 7. Remember the 3.5 inch nipple to nipple measurement, and you come up by 4 inches. Come up by 4 inches and you connect it to a straight line. On this place, you determine your dart. The dart I'm working with is half inch. So on both sides, I'm going to take out half inch. Then I'll connect it. This is our dart at the back. So now remember, this dart, we are going to place it back after the allowance. So this dart now we are going to place 1 inch. We are not going to cut it open. We are going to place 1 inch. And also another half inch to turn it to the lining, that is 1.5. An extra 1 inch like we did in the front for future use. So I'm going to add extra 2.5 inches. So on the chest line, what we need on the chest line is only 1.5 inches to turn it over, an extra allowance for the feature. So 1.5 inch we need here. After taking the dart, the shape will come out. So now let's connect. So now our back panel is ready. Can you see? Remember to add your half inch seam allowance at the shoulder. Don't forget that. So now the next thing is to cut it out. Ready? As you can see, this is the front panel and this is the back panel. You can use it to make a ball dress, a peplum dress, any dress of your choice for your baby girl. You can use it to draft it. So, in this tutorial on how to draft a basic bodice for a baby girl as a princess or a normal bodice for a baby girl has been helpful to you, why not give me a giant thumbs up, like, share and comment on my videos, and don't forget to subscribe. Put on the notification bell that whenever I upload a new video, you watching me will be the first to be notified. See you in my next video. I remain your baby girl, IG, and here is IJ Designs. Bye bye.